All right, guys. Fern requested some more information about mammals, and really what I'm thinking that she meant by that was she wanted to learn about different types of mammals. So that's what we're going to do. I've got a few books that I found in the books that I brought home from school. They're that National Geographic series that I loved, and a lot of you guys borrowed them during silent reading when we were in school. So I decided to start out with this really special mammal. Hopefully you'll find it as fascinating as I do. But when we were studying mammals, there was one mammal that I mentioned that was really unique, like a rule breaker. Definitely a rule breaker in this category. And it's because this particular mammal has wings. Do you remember what mammal it was that we talked about that was the rule breaker, that had wings, but it's not a bird? It's still considered a mammal? Well, if you can't remember, I'll give you a big hint. It's bats. Now, I used to not be such a big fan of bats, but they've kind of grown on me. We have bats in my backyard for sure. When we're sitting outside at night, we can hear them fly by, sometimes a little too close for my comfort, but I know they're doing a good job out there and they're beneficial, which means they're good and helpful in a way. Maybe you already know what that is. Maybe you're not sure what I mean by that, but let's read on and find out. All right, here we go. Oh, check this guy out. They're actually quite cute. That's my opinion, of course. What's a bat? I sleep by day, I fly by night. Doesn't it sound like they're describing some kind of superhero? I have no feathers to aid my flight. Aid my flight. No feathers to aid my flight. What do you think they mean by that? The word aid means to help. So they're saying they don't have feathers to help them fly. Right, because birds have wings and they also have feathers. But this guy doesn't have any feathers. What am I? Well, of course, we already know the answer is a bat. And a bat is a mammal, which we also know. And mammals are animals that... Now, in your head right now, you should be hearing Mrs. Bowman's voice over and over in your head, talking about the characteristics of mammals. So hopefully you remember what a few of those are. But if you don't, that's okay. If you're stuck, that's what review is all about, right? We review so we remember. So mammals are animals that nurse their young. That means they drink their mama's milk. They have hair, of course, and they're warm-blooded, among a few other things. Humans, dogs, and whales are all mammals. Bats have a special ability. They can fly. There are about 1,200 types of bats in our world. That's a lot of bats. Most of them eat insects, and insect-eating bats are usually smaller in size. So kind of think of it as they don't need to be so big because their prey is small, so they can be smaller, right? And if they eat insects, that makes them carnivores because insects are considered meat. Now, there are more than 150 types of fruit bats, and these bats are usually larger and they search for sweet fruits and other plants. So they're not eating meat, so they would be herbivores. Interesting. So some bats are carnivores, some bats are herbivores. I wonder if there are bats that are omnivores, which means they eat meat and plants. Let's find out. Maybe we'll find out. A few bats hunt for larger prey, such as frogs, birds, even mice. Some people think all bats suck your blood, but that's not true. Only 3 kinds of bats actually drink blood. And this group is known as, do you know it? Vampire bats. They mostly feed on the blood of animals like cows and deer, not humans. All those scary movies where the bats are coming for the humans, that's really not true. They're usually after cows and deer blood. And here's a picture of a vampire bat, right down there in the corner. They're actually not so scary when they're on the pages of a book. Now this guy's actually eating a frog, right? And that's part of the food chain. We talked about that because all animals need food to survive, and that's just the life cycle, right? And the food chain. Night flight. Ooh, rhyming words. I love books that have some rhyming words. Did you know that while you're fast asleep, bats are busy filling their bellies? Bats are nocturnal, meaning they're awake and active at night. Good job. This way of life has many advantages for a bat. Insect-eating bats often feast on bugs that come out after dark. Now, I don't know about you guys, but around my house, if I'm outside during the day, there are some bugs out, but more like honeybees, bees that aren't really bothering me or getting on me. But at night, a lot of mosquitoes come out and they like to get me. They like to sting me and bite me. And at night, I'm always wearing bug spray that I don't have to wear during the day. So that's one reason bats come out at night, because there are more insects out. And it says pollen and nectar eating bats might feed on plants that only open at night. And we know what nectar is, but they tell us here. See how these words keep coming up in these books? You guys are so super ready for 3rd grade because you already know all of this vocabulary. You're super geniuses, you guys. Nectar is that sweet liquid made by flowers. Scientists call bats Chiroptera, a Greek name that means hand wing. That's because bats have 4 fingers and a thumb, just like us. A thin layer of skin connects the fingers. This forms a wing. Bats also have a sensitive nose and big ears. How might those be beneficial to bats? A sensitive nose and big ears. Why would you need a sensitive nose and big ears if you were a bat? And nocturnal, keep in mind. Let's find out. Their big ears help some bats see with sound. I'll tell you the name for that in just a minute. It does have pretty big ears. Echolocation is a system in some animals for locating objects using sound waves. So they send off a sound and it bounces off and comes back to them, and that's how they know how far away an animal or an insect might be. In the pitch black night, bats can scoop up a tiny insect with ease. No flashlight required. How do they do it? Well, they make a sound that travels until it hits an object. So like I just said, the bat makes a noise or a sound, and even when we speak, sound waves go through the air, and then our ear, this part of our ear called the pinna, picks it up, and that's how we capture sounds. And so in this case, the sound goes out until it hits something, and then it travels back. It bounces off the object and travels back to the bat. From this echo, the bat can tell an object's size and how far away it is. This is called echolocation. Funny face. Some bats have strange looking faces. That's just true. Special ears, noses, and mouths help bats tune into and make sounds while they use echolocation. Their faces may look odd to us, but for bats, their features work perfectly, right? They are adapted to their environment and what they need in order to survive. That spotted bat might be my favorite. He's really unique. Hanging out. When bats are not hunting for food, they're usually hiding in a roost. Roosts can be caves, treetops, or even attics of homes. Bats pick places that are well hidden and protect them from bad weather. When most bats rest in their roost, they hang upside down. Can you imagine? That might give me a headache. And it says down here, roost is the place where animals such as bats and certain types of birds rest. So it's like their home, right? Their home. And little red-headed flying foxes roosting in a tree. And look at how tightly packed they are. All close together and loving each other. Very cute. Have you ever hung upside down in a jungle gym? Some of you guys have definitely done that. And you've done it, I mean, you guys are like serious climbers at school. You might start to feel a little dizzy. Bats have special veins to keep their blood flowing properly so they never feel dizzy. Bats can't take off from the ground like birds do. They have to fall into flight. So they drop down and take off. Hanging upside down is the best way to make a quick getaway. So there's a reason more than one reason that they actually hang upside down. One, because they can't take off from the ground, and two, because it offers them a quick getaway. Baby bats. Oh, take a quick look at that baby. So sweet. Baby bats called pups. Interesting. They completely depend on their mothers after they're born. They're blind, hairless, which means they don't have any hair, and they can't fly. They cling to their mother's fur. The pups nurse their mother's milk until their wings are strong enough to fly. Very sweet. Bat rescue. During storms in an Australian rainforest, remember Australia is a continent on our planet, wind can knock baby bats to the forest floor, and the babies usually don't survive unless wildlife workers come to their rescue. The lucky bats are taken to a bat hospital. The babies are bundled in blankets and fed milk from a bottle, just like human babies. After a few months, they are strong enough to return to the wild. So we've talked about that before, conservation. And some zoos do this, like the Bronx Zoo in New York City does this. They will take some animals in that are injured. They will rehabilitate them or fix them up, make them feel better, fix their broken wing, their leg, whatever it might be, get them healthy again. And then if able to, they release them back to the wild because that's their natural habitat. So it's where they belong. Nature's helpers. A world without bats wouldn't be very nice at all, even though some people might think it would be. Bats are an important part of the ecosystem. And insect-eating bats gobble up millions of bugs. That's why I love bats, because I don't love bugs. And the bats help get rid of the bugs. And maybe that means so many of them won't bother me at night anymore. Many of these insects are pests that could harm humans or destroy crops. Bats keep their numbers under control. So we talked about this. Everything on our planet has a job to do, and we all coexist together and do our jobs. Okay? So that's just part of that system. Other bats keep forests healthy by spreading seeds and pollen. Who else does that? An insect that we know. This allows trees and flowers to multiply. Oh, you guys have been doing multiplication with Mrs. Ferreira. Another vocabulary word that popped up. Multiply. Get more of. Bat myth busted. Myth. That means this is what they're thinking. Bats are blind. Truth. Bats actually have excellent eyesight. Some bats hunt using just their sight. Some people have misunderstandings about bats, and here are a few more of those myths. Myth. People think bats are dirty, but actually, they're neat freaks. They groom themselves frequently, which means often or all the time, and mothers lick their babies to keep them clean. So bats are not dirty at all. Another myth. Bats get stuck in people's hair. That's what people think, that, oh, they're gonna get stuck in my hair. With sharp senses and echolocation, bats are actually very good flyers, and they can avoid obstacles the width of a thread. So I don't have anything right here, but that basically means they can avoid something even smaller than this pen. Pretty cool. So you don't have to worry about bats getting stuck in your hair per se. Myth number 4, vampire bats turn into human vampires. Some of you might be worried about this if you watch scary movies. This is why I don't watch scary movies. There is no such thing as a human vampire, and bats certainly don't turn into them. So that's a myth, something that's not true. The Bat Hall of Fame. The teeny tiny, the smallest bat in the world is the bumblebee bat. I can see where it gets its name. Its wingspan is 5 inches across, and its body is just the size of a jelly bean. So 5 inches, right about like that. So that's how long, from wing to wing, tip to tip, that's how long he is, how wide he is. Now here we have mega wings. The largest bat is the 3-pound flying fox. Now, I have a friend, Karen, and this is her favorite type of bat. She is just nuts about flying foxes. Its wingspan can be 6 feet long, so that's longer or wider than I am tall, because I'm 5.5 feet, so add 6 more inches, and that's how wide that wingspan is. Up here it says happy camper. The Honduran white bat makes tents out of leaves to protect itself from rain showers. Cute and very creative and smart. Most crowded home. 20 million Mexican free-tailed bats live in one cave in Texas. 20 million. It's a lot of bats. These bats are also the fanciest flyers. They can soar as high as 10,000 feet and zoom through the air at speeds over 40 miles an hour. So that's just a little bit faster than your grown-up's car might drive in your neighborhood. Biggest appetite. Little brown bats can eat up to 1,200 mosquitoes in one night. Yum. Ooh, not yum. Only yum for bats, not for us. So here are some of those pictures. So this is the flying fox, and at the top is the teeny tiny. So cute. Happy campers, the crowded cave, and then that little brown bat. Got a big appetite. And that's it. And then we've got some vocabulary at the end, which you guys already know. Mammal, roost is the place where animals basically call home. Nocturnal, you guys know that for sure, and that is obviously when they're alive and active at night. Ecosystem, which is the environment in which things live. Nectar, you guys know that one already. And there's that echolocation again, and this is a word you're going to hear again and again when you're studying animal units, and that is a system in animals for locating objects using sound waves. Now, when we talk and noises come from us or other things, we don't see these waves in the air. They're invisible to us, but they do exist. And bats use that in order to help find their food and avoid obstacles when they're flying at night. But remember, bats actually do have really great eyesight as well. All right, Fernie girl, I hope you loved learning about bats. I actually always learn something new when I do one of these books. Even though I've read them before, I seem to always miss one fact or two. So super cool. I will move on to our next mammal in just a few minutes. Mwah!